back. It is the March to WrestleMania IX. This event, creator, we're talking about today, a big hype show for the WrestleMania IX pay-per-view all the way back in 1993. This is a week before, on March the 28th, my 13th birthday, long time ago. Just vaguely remember watching this show. I didn't. We were talking about before. We didn't get the pay-per-views back then.
Yeah.
We're in the hills of Appalachia. We're behind the times.
No joke.
But this is the closest that we got, right?
Yep.
Watching some of these hype shows and some of these
Yeah.
bigger matches that they would put on the March to WrestleMania specials and everything.
And they always work, man. They always hype everybody up. They do a damn good job of that. They always have.
I do remember this too because this was WrestleMania IX. I was so hyped up for this show to find out what happened. I called the 900 line.
No, really?
I did. I did. And my dad got so pissed off because like I stayed on there for like 20 minutes or something like that. It was like a $50 phone bill or something. So, yeah. So,
there was all kinds of shit out like that. There was there was a hotline for WWF, but there was like a hotline for everything. But like Freddy Krueger even had a hotline like in the 80s or something.
Oh yeah, everything you could think of. But yeah, I wonder if there's any recordings from those old hotlines from back in the day.
If there is, I would love to hear them.
Oh yeah,
that shit is so. That would be to me.
That would be an interesting one. That may be something that WWE still has that stuff possibly.
I'm sure they do somewhere. Probably like got collecting dust somewhere.
Put it up on the YouTube page, the Vault page. But anyway, we're going to get into this show. This is a fun one. It'll definitely take you back there just for a day. This was 1 week before WrestleMania IX at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the one that was on like the outdoor stage, like amphitheater looking thing.
Bobby Heenan wearing a toga and coming out there backwards on a camel or something.
Everybody wearing a toga. I think Macho Man like threw a fit or something. He didn't want to wear a toga. Like he didn't have a toga on, did he? He had like a suit on.
A toga, brother.
He ain't wearing a goddamn toga. They opened the show, I think. Was it with the Yoko? Was that on the show or was that? I think it may have been on Superstars. They were showing.
Yeah, I think that was on like Superstars or something.
The Brett and Yoko contract signing, and those contract signings never end well. Usually for the babyface.
Man, like
he got bonsai dropped.
Yeah, and it kind of like focused on Brett after that, and like they were showing like. I guess, and that's kind of an iconic moment because there's like a shot when he finally stands up from it and he holds the belt up. That's used in a ton of like Bret Hart tribute like videos and stuff. So I guess they were just kind of like making it believable to where Bret, was resilient enough to go against Yokozuna. So
and then
I don't know. It worked for me.
I think that kind of set up that match though because Macho had come out there to kind of help or whatever.
It did,
and then that was the opening match. On this show, Yokozuna versus the Macho Man,
and funky like a monkey, Yoko.
Macho was not doing many matches around this time either. Like he had pretty much,
they were trying to like pretty much dwindle him down to a commentator at that point.
Yeah, and they before this match, I did notice they had the rainbow entranceway thing, and I always loved that damn thing when I was a kid.
Me too. Like, because that's the just a good reminder of the '80s and all that, and just how fucking awesome. That's like it's the best decade ever.
And that was weird too because they not only had that neon WWF deal, but they also had the big WWF. Sign too on the other side. I don't know if I'd ever seen them both together like that.
I don't think so. I think that's one of the only times that I know of as well.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the new and the old.
Yeah.
And also on this, the Geisha Girls. This is when they were still bringing them out to give the Yokozuna some flowers and stuff like that. Like it's the little things, man. And he would toss the salt out, the ceremonial assault, whatever the hell that meant.
Do you like
But
find it so weird with like during that era of WWF they had these characters like Yokozuna who wasn't actually Japanese, and they had Brian Adams who was Kona Crush at the time, and he was had like this really fucking fake ass Hawaiian accent.
but he was really from Hawaii though. That was the
Dude, but
shit.
he don't talk like that.
Come on, brother. Well, he was in Demolition and didn't talk like that at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. He had the same fucking name too.
Crush. Signed a Legends deal, by the way.
Yeah, I seen that too.
Yeah.
That's why I
His
wouldn't bring it
son
up. But
did.
yeah, it's cool, man.
Um, but continuing on here, though, this match, headlock on Hunger banner. I saw it up there. It brought back some memories. Macho Man was mainly announcing rare wrestling match, so this is sort of a big deal. And he was pissed because I think that was one of the big reasons that he left and went to WCW because he wanted to wrestle more. Wasn't that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely. And have you heard the story like Eric Bischoff tells about Savage coming to WCW? So, like, I think he said this on his podcast, or it might have just been an interview on another podcast or something. But Bischoff said that when they brought Savage into WCW, the deal was him coming to WCW is that the Slim Jim stuff came with him to WCW.
Mm-hmm.
So him and Savage had agreed to like a $70,000 salary per year, or not 70 or 700 or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Maybe 70 or 700, one of those. But the thing is that Slim Jim was paying the same amount as Savage's salary to WCW. So they basically got Savage for free in WCW.
Yeah, I think wasn't that on a podcast of his not too long ago or something like that. I think I heard
Yeah, it
that.
was something like that. That I can't remember if it was his podcast or if it was some another one he was just doing an interview on. But I remember him. I listened to it and he said that for sure. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's just what he said.
So yeah, but Macho Man Yoko here, not a very long match. It was what about 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yokozuna,
wasn't
of
really a
course,
squash match. I mean, Savage gave an effort and everything, but it still was a very short match, like you said.
is a TV match. I mean, this whole event was what an hour and a half, maybe.
Oh well, true, yeah.
Um, so, and then they had a package kind of hopping up the narcissist Lex Luger. That's
Yeah.
interesting because he's going in the Hall of Fame this year. And thinking back on it though, man, like they brought the narcissist in for Bobby Heenan to go up against Mr. Perfect. So this is almost like they brought him at the Rumble, and this was kind of like the culmination of ultimately like not even that good of a feud. What do you think about that?
Well, honestly, I'm a Luger fan. Don't get me wrong, um, but as far as his feuds go, when he was in the WWF, I mean, other than the little short feud he had with Yokozuna, I mean, nothing. There wasn't really any kind of spectacular feuds that Luger had in the WWF that I can
Mm-mm.
remember.
Yokozuna was probably it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one most people remember because of just because he turned face and he was doing that whole Lex Express thing where
Mm-hmm.
he was actually going across the country in that bus and doing like meet and greets and stuff. And apparently he fucking hated that.
Well, he's kind of claiming that they made it look worse than what it actually was in that documentary, but who knows?
Oh man,
Great document. I love that though. Like that was one of my favorites. The A&E, whatever it was, the bio
yeah,
thing they did.
it's really good, man.
But
But
continuing on though, it was what you notice the formula here. They kind of give you like the rundown on the narcissist Mr. Perfect feud and what's
hmm
leading to that match, and then the next match is Mr. Perfect versus Jobber, kind of Jobber of the Stars, Skinner.
yeah, and I think I think it was that match. I might. It's one of the matches on like, but I'm thinking it was the Skinner and Mr. Perfect match. Did you notice who the referee was?
Was it Fonzie?
Yeah,
Yeah. He
I
was
thought that.
refereeing a lot in 92, 93.
I
Like that was
forgot
kind of
about that,
his.
man. But that's so. I was like, that's Bill Alfonso. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. That was before his teeth rotted out and he looked like a fucking meth head.
Man, I wish he was coming with Sabu to Prestonsburg.
Maybe he is.
And not even advertising. He's just sitting there in the crowd,
Oh,
looking at
daddy.
the people. I'm here to see some wrestling, boss.
But yeah, Skinner. God damn. Man, how many like
They
guys
made
did
a
they
they made a
did they
Skinner
have?
Hasbro, dude.
I've got it. I think I maybe have it.
That's crazy.
Skinner though, like, was one of many. Like, there were so many wrestlers that they had around this time frame that never was involved in any sort of feud at all. Was there forever. It seems like
Well, what's his real name? Like, is it like Steve something?
Steve Kern. He was also
Steve
Doink,
Kern. And
I
he's
think.
still with the WWE, I'm pretty sure. Like I think he's still like a trainer and stuff at the Performance Center or somewhere like that. Um, yeah, dude's been around a while.
It's weird too, because like there was a lot like that. Like the Beverly Brothers were also like that. Like they were around for hell and ever. It looks like, and never had a
Yeah,
feud at all. Like they
that's
were.
another team I didn't care for was the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah, they're on this show too, by the way.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's gonna be a hilarious one to. That was out of nowhere too, but we'll get to
Yeah, that's an interesting match.
that. But the next thing up, Skinner, he did the job, of course, and this was a weird time as well because just out of nowhere, Slick came back as a babyface.
Hell yeah.
And I don't remember what happened. Do you remember the circumstances of what led to Slick becoming like a preacher or a babyface or whatever? Which he's
Dude,
a real life preacher for real.
I have no memory of that. That
I
when
don't
I seen
either.
that on that show, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I do not
Slick,
remember this.
what was like? Who was the last? Would it have been Akeem that he managed as a heel?
Maybe.
I don't know. That may be a Wikipedia question, but anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. It's lost on
Slick
me.
at this point in time is revamping Kamala.
Yeah, man.
Babyface Kamala, babyface Slick,
I- yeah,
and
man.
this was this was fun. I had fun, and there's
It
rumors
is, but it's just not memorable, really.
Kamala is possibly going to be in the Hall of Fame as well. Do you think he's Hall of Fame worthy?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I think so. I was never a huge fan of him, but I liked him, and I think definitely he's memorable enough to. I mean, he didn't have like no fabulous career or anything, and he never won any championships. But dude, like when it comes to wrestling, I don't care what anybody says. It's all about your fucking character
You
and
get it.
how you handle yourself in the business. And that dude has a memorable gimmick. And just personality and a very unique look.
One of the
And
best gimmicks,
yeah,
really. Like everybody was scared to fucking death of Kamala back in the day.
yeah.
Like, and he had that fucking scowl.
Dude,
Like,
it's like that's something
holy
that
shit.
you do shit like that. Nobody's gonna forget you. He definitely deserves to be in the
Are you
Hall of
kind of
Fame.
surprised though, like, just because of the political correctness that's like, God, I mean, it's everywhere. Or
Yeah.
they're going to celebrate a black guy that's dressed up like a wild native with a spear.
Dude, listen, I don't care about that shit. I just think, this is wrestling exists in its own fucking universe.
Yeah.
If you ask me, because like it is the most unique art form I think that has ever existed in the world. Because if you think about it, everything that exists within the business of wrestling doesn't seem real sometimes.
Kamala, though, like, I always liked Kamala, even as a heel. And the feud that he had, I think it was on one of those Hulkamania tapes. they had a Kamala match that was in an old school style cage that he had with Hogan. I
I
don't
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know what show that's from or whatever. It may have just been for that tape. But holy
Yeah.
shit, man. Like he was so believable as just a fucking wild man.
Do you remember like when they did the first ever Raw Diva search, and one of like the challenges is that like they had to um, get the approval or something of a WWE legend, and this legend was hiding behind this curtain, and when they would the contestants would run around that curtain, they would find Kamala, and there was like what was like rubbing his belly, he was like kissing all over him, just doing different shit. It's just like
That was
it's
so
one.
random too
It was one
because
of the most bizarre things they
yeah,
ever turned that era
Kamala
of
returned,
WWE.
yeah. But in this match here, he wrestles Kimchi.
Yeah, his former
And
manager.
Kimchi's kind of abusing him early on like he's a fucking, ex girlfriend or something, backhanded him and everything else. And
Who
yeah,
was Kimchi?
I
Who
think
do
it
you
was the Brooklyn Brawler. I think
you
it's,
think you think it's who it
I think
was?
so, yeah.
I think it was different people
It
sometimes.
may have been, but I think Brooklyn Brawler was like one of the main ones that did it. And
Mm.
it was, before it was Kimchi, it was Friday was the handler. There was a couple of different handlers.
I
They had
must
the
not remember that.
That was in the 80s. Then
Okay.
the Wizard, which ended up being, what was his name in WCW? The Master.
Is it
He
the Grand
was
Wizard?
he was called the Wizard in
Oh, the Wizard.
WWF, and he
Oh,
was
I
Kevin
don't know.
Sullivan's boss. Like he was like the big boss of the Dungeon Doom.
Oh, that fucking
I
guy.
think they just
Uh,
called him the Master or something like that.
yeah, it is. You're right.
But yeah, it's the same guy. I can't remember
Okay.
his real name, but yeah, he was like Kamala had a weird run there in WWF, like in the mid '80s and again in the early '90s. So,
Mm.
but the babyface run, I don't think it worked out too well for Kamala. They were hopping up. It was originally supposed to be, was it Kamala and Bam Bam Bigelow, and they ended up canceling the match. Like they
I
were
don't
hopping
know.
that match for Mania IX, I think, on this March to WrestleMania show, and that one never happened.
Yeah, I don't remember about that. That's crazy.
And another thing that'll take you back, if only for a day, is that WrestleMania. They played that entire music video on this show.
That's, that'd be so awesome, dude. I love shit like that, though.
Most
You
of
know.
those people were gone too at that point. Like Boss Man was already gone. I think the Nasty Boys were on their way out because they were in WCW later that same year. So I thought that was kind of funny too. I was like, hell, it must be a curse to be in that video. Hacksaw, I think, was leaving
Yeah, he
soon. He
was getting
wasn't.
ready to go to WCW at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And one other thing that I noticed, they were starting to hop up, and this was a weird match to have at Mania too. Money Inc. versus Hogan and Brutus the
Dude,
Barber.
I'm glad you want to talk about that because when they show this like interview with Mean Gene with it's Hogan, Brutus, and Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
When Jimmy Hart gets on the mic in that promo, that's the best fucking Jimmy Hart promo I've ever seen. I mean, dude could talk. That dude could talk on the mic.
Do you think that the fans, though, what I was thinking is the fans aren't behind him either. They're like questioning, like,
Yeah, I don't like I was like,
Jimmy
stop.
Hart with Hulk Hogan don't work for me, brother. You know. And I think that a lot of people were thinking that Jimmy Hart would be turning on Hogan, and like they just assumed that that was what was going to happen, but it didn't. I thought that the Money Inc. match with Hogan and Beefcake was just weird, like a tag match or whatever else, and they ended up not winning. And DiBiase was almost like a part timer at this point. Like he was not wrestling very much at
Well,
all.
he was getting close to his retirement from the ring because what was this 93? So Yeah, I think he retired like in the next year.
Yeah, he wasn't, and then even around this time, he wasn't wrestling very much either at all. Like I don't know what was going on. I
Mm.
think he had back problems and stuff. So,
Well, yeah, that's ultimately what made him retire. I'm pretty sure. Same is the same thing with like Arn Anderson. I think.
but the match here is kind of funny. This is the straight up fucking jobber match with Money Inc., who were the tag champs, versus Jerry Sabin and Reno Riggins. Man, what's your
Yeah,
favorite
man.
Reno Riggins match?
Well, where do I begin?
And then after that, well, that was a straight up squash match. I always like Money Inc. as a tag team, though. I got to
I
at least
too. I
mention that they
mean,
worked.
did you like them better than the Mega Bucks?
Which one was the Mega Bucks? The Macho Man and
No,
DiBiase?
Mega Bucks was DiBiase and Andre.
Oh, I forgot that was their name. So
Yeah,
I guess the Money Inc. Yeah, they'd probably be my favorite.
yeah. Because I mean, no offense to Andre or anything, but I think I enjoyed IRS as a wrestler more than Andre. But Andre was a better like presentation and attraction.
There was a Mega Maniacs promo after this match with Brutus the Bionic Barber Beefcake Brother.
Dude, that mask was so stupid
That
looking.
does look bad.
Yeah,
What were they
like
thinking with
the
that?
Phantom of the Opera or some
That
shit
was
with that.
legit though. Like that injury was legit. Like from what I understand, so he
Yeah,
did
well, oh
wear
yeah,
that match, that
dude,
mask.
and like Hogan when they do that promo, like Hogan's talking about stuff, how he's going. I go back to St. Broody, brother, and and he's telling his whole story. Like it goes on and on and on and on.
Didn't you think
And
though that like listen to the crowd? The fans were kind of like lukewarm on the whole thing, it seemed like. So you
yeah,
definitely got the impression that people were like not only
yeah,
sick of Hogan, but
yeah, they were getting tired of him. Yeah.
they were thinking that like what I mean, this is kind of like a half assed thing. Who booked this shit? That's what these people were
Yeah,
thinking.
and it's just unfortunate for them at the time because and a lot of that just has to do with them going into that new generation of the WWF, and just cause guys like Shawn Michaels was becoming big, Bret Hart was their champion at the time, and that's who a lot of these like more of the younger viewers that were kind of getting into WWF at that time, um, were more keen on guys like Bret and Razor Ramon and all those guys.
Mhm. So continuing on, the hot package for Tatanka and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
Tatanka, man, they were like high on him early on. So he was like undefeated forever for the longest time. And they were always really high on Shawn Michaels as well. The this just didn't like work as a feud at all. Like I don't ever remember even as a kid being excited about these two meeting up for a match or anything. What do you
I,
think?
I mean it. I agree with that, but um, when I was that age watching this, see, let me tell you something about me. I fucking hated heels. I mean, I hated the bad guys.
Right.
I wanted just them to get the piss beat out of them all the time. So I hated Shawn Michaels at this time, and I loved Tatanka. So I thought he was killer, man.
Tatanka.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
I thought he was awesome. But anyway, no, that match was very those guys don't have chemistry with one another.
Well, they ended up like, well, I mean, the actual match on this show was Tatanka versus George South.
Right, right, and that's another guy. Let me tell you something. I went to this West Virginia show that they had George South at one time when I was in high school at the time, and so just how these like crowds are just you don't really know what they're capable of that come to these little high school gyms and stuff and they put on wrestling shows. So I remember this kid running for the bleachers, and like this is before the show started and everything. Though, but this kid ran and jumped in the ring, was running off the ropes, and there comes George South. He's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of
George South. He's like the highwayman of wrestling. He's always
there!"
been
Oh
around.
yeah, yeah, man.
But that match that was the match that opened Mania 9, right? Tatanka and HBK.
Yeah.
and they kind of set up Sherry versus Luna Vachon. Did that match ever happen? I don't think that they ever.
Not in WWF that I can remember.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? Because Sherry was like a women's wrestler, and she never really got to wrestle at all.
Hey man, speaking of Sherry, I know we've talked about her a couple times already on here, but when she had that little short stint in ECW in the early '90s, around like '93, '94,
Mhm.
um,
Probably shortly
th-
after.
this is this is when Medusa was in there too. Like she had just this was, I think, either before or after she was at the Lunder Blaze in WWF. But like she has this feud with Sherry Martel in like the early ECW days, and man, it's just like it's so surreal watching those shows back now. I mean, a lot of the music and stuff is edited on those shows on Peacock, but just you can just see so much in like the early days of ECW that heavily influenced the Attitude Era.
Oh yeah,
It's so
no
crazy.
doubt, no doubt. Let's see. Continuing on. Oh, I love these two. These are my favorite spots on like Wrestling Challenge and Superstars, and they had the old graphics on there and everything. I was like, holy shit! This takes you back there. The WrestleMania IX report with Mean Gene,
Oh yeah,
where
that's
they were
fun.
talking. Yeah, they did these for every pay per view, pretty much on every one of their syndicated shows, hopping up. I think on this one there was a Bret Hitman Hart promo. There was Corner Crush. He was diving on his boat, brother.
I'm like, because I forgot that he talked like that, and I was like, "What the? Fuck? Why is
He
he
was
talking like that?"
spearfishing, brother. Cutting a promo with his buddies and talking about Doink. Doink, you like to clown around.
God, like you can't take that serious at all.
And there was head shrinkers and Steiner's
Mhm.
promos. Man, that was a weird match.
The Steiners one was so wooden, man. He was just like,
Steiners versus head shrinkers. Jeez. This was like a pretty weak WrestleMania overall, don't you
yeah.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it was also very interesting too. And there's like, even though it's not one of the best, it's definitely memorable in different aspects. Especially the Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez match.
hmm
I
There
mean,
was stuff that they definitely planned way ahead and hopped up. Yeah, because I remember when Giant Gonzalez debuted at the Royal Rumble, everybody at school was like, "Did you see him? He was like 10 feet tall.
same
Holy
thing.
shit." Yeah.
That fucking outfit too, dude. Like,
Yeah. Evidently, he was like the nicest guy, but Lord,
yeah,
I
he
mean,
was
he was
in
just the
WCW like
shits.
in the early '90s as El Gigante.
Right. But I mean, at this point, he put on more weight and everything and looked a lot
Yeah,
thicker.
he grew out that beard and stuff too because he didn't
Yeah.
have that when and he had that mullet, in WCW. But
Let me ask you this about Giant Gonzalez. I don't. Now, I must be the only one that remembers this. I think it was an episode of Baywatch that he was on, and he was playing like this giant that was being like worked at a circus, and he was being abused by his by the circus owner or something like that, and it had the
really,
giant Gonzalez outfit on in the. Yeah, I
are you for real?
I swear, I think it was a show. I think it was Baywatch, but it
I
could have
gotta
been.
find that dude.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? How can they do that? Because he had the Giant Gonzalez outfit on and everything.
Wasn't there also an episode of Baywatch that had Hogan and Macho Man, and they were like riding on
Yeah.
jet skis?
Yeah. That was when they were in WCW, I think.
Was it okay? Oh yeah,
Um,
because Vader was in that episode too, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Damn, I need to go back and watch those.
Now this match here though coming up, there's only a couple more left. This is a weird one, man. I don't know where they come up with this one at, but you had a 6-man tag with the Beverly Brothers and Little Louie. Little Louie, you ask, huh? Well, he was a little wrestler. I don't think you're supposed to say
I think Bobby Heenan called him Hillbilly Jim or something when he was coming
Mini Hillbilly Jim. Well, he would later be one of the King's midget guys, the fucking Queasy or whatever their names were.
Oh, so when Lawler had that match against Doink, and it was like a
Right,
8-man tag or
and that was
whatever.
like later. What? That was probably the next year or
Yeah,
something. I don't know when that
I
was.
forgot about that.
But yeah, it was the Beverly Brothers and Little Louie versus the Bushwhackers and Tiger Jackson. Tiger
That was Vern
Jackson,
Troyer, boys.
he did lose. He was almost the same size, but Tiger Jackson was Dink. That was the guy that played Dink the Clown, the
Interesting.
little doink. He was like a French wrestler or whatever who I think he's still around if I'm not mistaken. He's got to be getting up there in age because he was an old wrestler then, believe it or not. He wrestled for since the 70s, I think.
What was those little guys' names in the '80s WrestleMania? Like I think one was like Little Beaver or something.
Little Tokyo, yeah, Little Beaver, the Haiti Kid. The Bushwhackers like to lick on Little Tiger Jackson,
Hmm.
and they ended up winning, of course.
That's a funny match. There's some really funny spots in those.
The last match on this show, and this was kind of the one that was hopping up Giant Gonzalez and The Undertaker. But we had Bam Bam Bigelow. This was a pretty good match. This pretty
Yeah,
big match
I
for this
agree.
time period. Bam Bam Bigelow versus The Undertaker.
I love Bam Bam, man.
And yeah, Giant Gonzalez ended up coming out there towards the end and everything and having almost like a face off with The Undertaker. And just the sight of seeing Giant Gonzalez, he sucked. We didn't
Yeah,
know this too much at the time. He didn't wrestle. He had pretty much squash matches. But yeah, they were hyping this up. This was kind of a one and done thing. Giant Gonzalez was pretty much done. Like after Mania, what was he even around anymore? I don't
I
think he
I
was.
don't remember him
Yeah,
being it because he didn't really make it into that next year. I didn't really see him ever again. I guess he maybe just retired, or I don't know, or maybe he was just having physical issues where he couldn't get
it
around
was
good.
like
I
a
don't know.
one shot. I think it was set up to be just a one shot deal. It's almost like when they did Undertaker versus Undertaker. Like they
Mhm.
never expected it to go any further than
Yeah,
that one
like
match.
they just did that a lot in that time frame of wrestling with just kind of creating these characters, and they didn't have any kind of expectation that they were going to be around long, but just like based off the character they would make for these guys, they just seen it as kind of a a limited appeal that would just kind of be like a flavor of the month type thing.
But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much like Taker is pretty one sided with this match here, and then Gonzalez come out there and they kind of face off at the end, topping that big matchup as well.
Hmm.
And that kind of concluded the show. And man, WrestleMania 9 is a weird one because it's one that I watched a lot as a kid, and I think I like the atmosphere of it
Yeah,
quite a bit. But man, the event itself sucked. Like there wasn't
yeah.
anything.
And
What
it's
would be
very
the
controversial too.
the end of the pay per view and everything? Because evidently Hogan used his power, brother, to change things around a little bit, dude. There weren't really any. I don't think there were any good matches on that show.
I don't think so. I mean, like, were they appealing? The idea of the matches, absolutely.
Right.
But it's just kind of like if you look at Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade '97, and how much that match was built the fuck up to be like the match of the decade because of the story between Sting and the NWO and all that. And then the match fucking sucks. Like that's like what the entirety of WrestleMania 9 is.
It really is. Yeah, there wasn't anything super memorable on the show. I mean, there were some good visuals. Like I think it was cool when Undertaker came out there with the vulture and everything. That looked kind of cool.
Sting kind of stole that from
The
Undertaker.
first the first time we see Luna Vachon, like that's pretty memorable because I'd never seen a woman like that before. She was fucking wild looking. I was like, holy shit, where did she come from?
It's crazy to think that her and Gangrel were married for a while.
Yeah, yeah, that's a couple.
They're two totally different looking people.
There was a dark match on WrestleMania IX. I don't know if it exists. It may be on that what is the Vault channel.
Mm-hmm.
Tito Santana defeating Papa Shango. Papa Shango went downhill pretty. Nobody fucking lost Tito Santana unless you were like George South or something. So Papa Shango been pissing some people off.
Dude, like, know the host. Have you watched that Chris Van Vliet interview with Godfather?
No, I need to check that out. There's a lot of them that I've been putting off.
It's one. I love Chris Van Vliet. I think he's like the best wrestling interviewer out there right now. And
he's definitely got the contacts, man, because he gets pretty much everybody.
Yeah, man. Like, I love watching his shit, dude. And that interview he did with Godfather is definitely one of my favorite ones. I mean, Godfather is a super cool guy. I met him when he came here not long ago to Hazard. And they're doing a con in Pikeville, I think in like June or July. It's called Hollers and Heroes Con.
Oh, Lord.
And Big Show's going to be there. Godfather, D'Lo Brown, Hornswoggle, maybe some other ones. I don't know. I know they're doing like a Devil's Rejects reunion at it as well. Yeah.
Who the hell's doing that?
I don't know. But I'll go to it. It's just like $10 to get in. So
wow, okay. So yeah, I guess that is it, guys. Hopping up some of these old WrestleManias. It just that's kind of our thing, taking you all back there, if just for a day. Yeah. And kind of gives you a good, culmination on what led to these big events that we've seen a gazillion times.
Especially if you're, around mine and Wes's age and you grew up with that stuff, like it hits different when you watch it again, knowing you watched this as a child.
Yeah, for sure. But Crater, man, I appreciate you joining me for these. It's always a lot of fun getting together
anytime, and
man. Going back and rewatching some of this stuff. And we will have to do it again soon.
Absolutely. Been fun.
Right. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will catch you all next go around. I want all these people to click everything they're supposed to click.
You haven't been liking them, you haven't been subscribing to them, you haven't clicked the bell or notification or anything like that.
Folks, why don't you click the like button?
Do you hate us? Do you not want to see us succeed?
Why don't you click the heart button?
Is this something that you have against our particular show?
Why don't you subscribe?
You should click on one of them buttons right now if you want us to continue to bring greatness into your life.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. You know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decades.
Here's what other fucking Patreons do. They're like, hey, give us money and then we'll let you see a video early that we're going to release like a fucking week from now, and then that's all we're going to give you. Meanwhile, we have a literal jukebox full of songs, thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram. And help us to 1 million. The road to 1 million subscribers starts today.
So DeadPit on Patreon.com. Join today. Tiers start at only $1, but I'd recommend at least the $10 tier.
You can do 50. The stock market's crashing around us, folks, but send us money.